It is 3 o'clock, and I'm going to go ahead and get started. This session isn't going to take the full hour and a half. Uh, my goal is to wrap up around 4 o'clock Eastern time, but we'll see what happens. This is more or less the logistics class. This is the one where you're going to get all of the details regarding the ENP exam, what you need to know, some recommendations, some suggestions, how we're going to run the class here. Chances are, if you have a question, it will be answered in here. But at the end, I definitely will have question and answer time. But don't let that deter you from asking a question if you have one at the moment where I share something. And if I have a slide on it and I'm going to explain it, I'll just let you know that we're going to get to that in just a minute. But don't hesitate to ask any questions if you should have them. So I did ask folks if they could hear me. Can someone just let me know that you can see my screen too? I would hate to get started and then you not be able to see my screen. Excellent. So you guys can see it. And I apologize that I don't have you on here as a regular Zoom type presentation, but I learned over the years that when I pull the recording, it will show everybody's images, and it whenever someone is unmuted, it shifts it. And so this is just a cleaner way, and the recording allows me to have me a little bit bigger than just a little tiny square. So unfortunately, this is the way that we have to roll. So we will go ahead and get officially started. Thank you for joining the 2024 Summer and Fall ENP study group that is put on by On Scene First, me. And this is week one, the welcome and logistics. And so each week, there's going to be a few slides that I have to go through at the beginning of every presentation. So just know, if you're not right when we get started, I'll probably be in the first 5 minutes going over some of the things that I have to go over each week. So I like to kind of start off with that, but I definitely recommend just jumping on live when you can. That way you can ask any questions. And I may have some exciting news to share or something, which I do in this session. So let's get this party started. So I know there are lots of folks on here that know me. They know that whether they know me from training or from Rapid SOS, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce myself for the folks that do not know who I am and what credibility I have to be here helping you guys study for your ENP exam. So first, Tracy Eldridge. I am an ENP. I got my ENP back in February of 2021, and very quickly realized that I study in a very unique way. For the most part, I am a late diagnosed ADHDer. I got diagnosed about 6 years ago and realized that sometimes my brain brains differently than other brains. So I pride myself in the ability to be able to teach folks some wonky topics in a way that could resonate and make it easy in some cases. So I decided that I was going to do an ENP study group. And if you happen to be here for that first study group and life got in the way and you didn't take the exam and now you're back, welcome back. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. But if you were here in the early days, 7 sessions ago, you'd see that things are very different today. The way that I run the session, it just took a little while to get it tweaked, and I'm pretty proud of the program that we put together, and we have a very good pass rate through our study group, which is really exciting too. But for my work career, I spent 20 years in the 911 center. So I joke that I'm a recovering 911 director. I left my center in late 2016 after I was battling a pretty dark place through PTSD and some depression and anxiety. And so I made the transition out of the 911 center, which was probably one of the most challenging decisions I've ever made. But I know today it was definitely the right one. I am on the other side of PTSD where the sun is shining and we have cookies and it's nice and comfortable over here. But I left my center. I went to work for Rapid SOS. I was there for 4 years. I played a pivotal role in being able to guide the team in the early days, the non-public safety, wicked technical folks, in a direction that would make sense for 911 to be able to access the actual device location. And before I knew it, we were growing our team exponentially. And it is now what you all are probably seeing today. And if you are not familiar with the Rapid SOS technology, well, shame on you, because it is life-saving on so many levels. That first year I was there, I remember traveling around the country selling a free product that didn't exist yet, trying to get many of you that are on the call to to trust us and know that we were going to be able to be successful in getting that location to you. So I'll just say this, throw in the chat if you want, if you're using that technology and if you've ever used it to save a life. And when I see things like that, oh, it makes me feel really good. But while I was with Rapid SOS, we, like I said, we grew pretty quickly, and I really couldn't find my lane there because I was kind of hovering over a lot of different lanes. Great, Kim. That's awesome that you're going to be deploying premium. Just more benefits, and I just added technology. But while I was there, I was kind of hovering over a bunch of different departments, and I felt like I had accomplished what I was supposed to. I made a promise for location. That was a goal of mine. We did that. We started delivering additional data, but I realized at Rapid SOS, I was in one lane, and that was location and data. And if you know me well enough to know that I am not a one lane kind of girl. I'm actually a drunk driver on a 6-lane highway. There's a lot of lanes that I want to be in. And so when I was at Rapid SOS, they gave me a podcast, which I titled, excuse me, hold on, which I titled On Scene First with Tracy Eldridge, which then when I realized it was time for me to build my own legacy, where I wanted to move into teaching 911 centers about better leadership. My leadership is what ultimately caused me to leave my 911 center. I had an asshat boss that was not being very nice and kind, and he ripped off a Band-Aid to some wounds that were not healed. And he was the catalyst for my fall from grace, if you will. And so at On Scene First, the company that I started from the podcast, what we do is, I guess I got to go this way. Boop. We save lives on both sides of the call. So anything that I do, it's either going to help telecommunicators do their job more effectively so they can save the callers. But I also teach leadership about being better leaders, so they're not causing issues for the folks in the seat. And I'm a huge mental health and wellness advocate, so I get to do all the things that I want. In other words, march to the beat of my own drum. I'm also an instructor for the Tony Harrison in the public safety group, and I've been teaching for Tony for about 10 years. I still have a couple of classes that I teach for Tony, but I don't get to do that all that often, because On Scene First is doing pretty well, and we have lots of classes scheduled. So, and in my spare time, which isn't a lot, I get to do the firefighter EMT thing, and our family is on the fire department. My daughter's an ER nurse. My youngest is in EMT school right now. She's a certified firefighter, and she granted me my adorable emotional support human, my grandson. And so you may see him from time to time during our time here. And if you follow me on social media, you've seen him, and I hope he makes you as happy as he makes me. But just wanted folks that didn't know me to kind of know who I am and why we're here. But I'd like to introduce you to some other folks. Usually, I have the current president from NINA here on this logistic kind of welcome presentation. I did reach out to the current president a couple of times. I know that they were super busy in California this week with Cal NINA. We did not connect. So, unfortunately, I don't have a NINA representative here to welcome you, but maybe we'll be able to do that next week. But these are the folks that represent you, the NINA folks, whether you're a NINA member or not, or will be, which you do not have to be a NINA member to take the exam. But if you are, it is less money. And you get a lot of benefits with that also. But once, and I'll get into this a little bit later, but just know that between now and the end of the day, Monday-ish, you will get a copy of the PDF. So everything that you need is on here. And anything that I have as a link is on the PDF, and it is just clickable. So if you wanted to reach out to any of the folks here, if you had any questions at all, you could just click right on that blue link and it will bring you to them. Okay, hold on. Sorry about that. I just need to forge something real quick. I got an email from a couple folks saying they can't get in, and I want to enlist the help from my fancy assistant and see if she can help take care of that. Technology. All right. Sorry about that. So that's your NINA board right there. This is one of the slides I'm going to go through every week. And there's a reason why I go through it is because my videos from each session get uploaded to YouTube. And every once in a while, folks will stumble upon the video on the YouTube channel. And I want to kind of give them an idea of where we are in the process of the live study group versus a not live study group. And how they can access it. And then if they, I knew I was going to forget to change that last slide, but I will when I send it out the form. So this study group right here that you are currently sitting in is for the exams that will take place in 2024 in the summer in July and in the fall in October. This live study group goes from March 8th to June 21st, 2024. And if you are hearing this in between that time and you would like to be added to this group to be able to join at any time, because everything is recorded and archived and you will be able to access it, just either scan the QR code to the left there or visit onscenefirst.com/training/study ENP. If you're watching this video after June 21st and this live session has ended, but you would like to get access to any of the previous study groups information. So right now, today, you would get access to the study group that we just finished in January. So if you are planning on testing in April, you can still ask for that whole batch of materials to study for the April exam. And then it's supposed to say on that bottom one that if you would like to be notified the dates of the next live study group, it is not March 8th because that's today, that's for this one, to jump onto our website at onscenefirst.com and click subscribe. Subscribe. I can't even say the word. And you will be notified once we determine the date. To date, I have been doing 2 study groups a year, and it's just proving to be a little too much right now. So I might need to reel it back to 1 a year. This might be the one for the rest of this year, which that's the plan anyway, is that I won't be doing another one this year. But I will decide the date that I'm going to do for 2025. And it'll probably start at the end of this year and go into the next year. But all of the materials are accessible and they will be up to date and relevant for the next 2 exams if they are archived. I want to give a huge thank you to Rapid SOS. They have been our premier study group for the sponsor, and I am beyond appreciative that they helped me be allowed to do this. There are some expenses that go with doing the study group, and it also allows me to give out 2 other scholarships, and we'll talk about the scholarships in just a little bit. So super appreciative of Rapid SOS. So make sure you tell them thank you if they've made it possible for you to take this exam as well. We have partnered with the NINA Ontario folks, our heroes to the north. Up until the last session, they were kind of left out as far as the study groups went. And when we got into when I got connected with Kate and some folks up there, we decided it made sense for us, instead of recreating the wheel and doing 2 different study groups, why don't we bring them in to this one that's already established? So if you want any information on what NINA Ontario is doing, if you are one of our Canadian heroes, just scan the QR code or visit their website there. It is our hope that they will join us for one of the sessions to do another live session. But if they should choose not to, or we just can't connect, then we'll go ahead and share that recording again from last session. So it's still relevant information, but our goal is to have them on again. Okay. First, I want to tell you, embrace the challenge and buckle up. This is a magical endeavor, and that's the word I'm going to use. It's magical. But there's a lot of information. There's going to be a lot of information that I'm going to be sharing with you. And there is going to be information that even if you've been in this profession for 25 years, you're going to say, I've never even heard of that. I don't even know what that is. Because I know that's how I was, and I know that's how many folks are. But embrace the challenge and just keep this in mind. Set your sights on taking the exam within the time frame of the study group. Shoot for the summer of 2024. That will be the first test that is available right after this one. But if you don't fully feel comfortable, then go ahead and take it in October. And if you're still struggling and you think maybe one more study group would make sense, then do that. Don't put too much pressure on yourselves that you have to do it right now. It's a lot of material. Some of it's confusing, some of it's challenging. There's a ton of abbreviations and acronyms that you should know. And so embrace it. Okay. I recommend, if you have not done so yet, I know a lot of folks will say, hey, yeah, I've been thinking about doing that. And they saw the study group and they registered and said, well, I'm not sure what this is all about, so I'll just join and see what's what. I highly recommend you heading on over to the nina.org/page/ENP_ certification. And the reason why I read the most of these is because we also offer the MP3 version of this for folks that listen. And I just want them to know that that's there as well for those that are not accessing the video piece of it. But go to that website and there's going to be a bunch of stuff there that you should go through all of it. But so between this week and next week, that should be your homework assignment, is to go through all of that information. And here's my reason. You have to make sure that you're going to be even qualified to be able to take that exam. I want you to be able to see the resources. I'm going to share with you everything that's on there. Not everything, but I'm going to share with you the things that you can find on there. But I get a lot of questions. I get a lot of folks that they'll send a quick email, which I have absolutely no problem sending. However, a lot of the information is there, and I would hate to miss your email or not get it answered for you. And so I would like to direct you to that page, because everything I'm going to tell you is probably there as well. The first thing you'll see at the top of the page is the quick links. So if you wanted to go right to the ENP frequently asked questions, you can just click there. It's going to bring you to the bottom of the page, just like you would with any other, type of website. There is a little video here that you'll be able to watch on why should I become an ENP. That section kind of right there also just gives you the things. I do know that Jim Lake had joined my podcast from Charleston, South Carolina, and I forget what episode it was. It was a great episode. But when I asked him why he became an ENP, he said it very clearly that in one of the jobs that he went for, it came down to him and somebody else, and he had the ENP and the other person didn't. So having the emergency number professional certification is definitely well respected in our industry. And while you would think there's a wicked lot of them, I think the number I have here is like 1,700 and something on one of these pages. So consider yourself educated once you get this certification. As far as the fee summary goes, NINA members, the exam is $435. And it includes the $150 processing fee through the company that they work with, which I'll share in just a little bit. Non-members is $575, and a re-examination fee is $175. I know a lot of agencies do pay for the exam. And what I'm realizing now also, it just blows my mind, is when I get to the point in offering or awarding scholarships, I have to reach out to agencies, and I have to get on the submission, you would enter the decision maker, their contact information, and I contact them and say, hey, Tracy Eldridge wants to take the ENP exam. She has submitted for a scholarship that we offer, but the scholarship is designated for folks that their agency is not going to pay for the exam. And some folks would come back and say, oh, we would pay for that. They just need to submit for it. They just need to let us know they're going to take it, etc. So before you even think of putting in for a scholarship, please check with your agencies so we don't waste time going back and forth and we don't lose time, because there's a short window to get the information to the winner. And then the other thing that was what was I going to say? It'll come to me. But nonetheless, I'm super grateful to these folks. Rapid SOS, my girl Shinar at Responder Services Consulting out of Texas, and LB Comms LLC, my friend Mark Cady. These folks have generously donated the funds for me to be able to award 5 scholarships. If you are a commercial partner and you're within the sound of my voice, because we have some that join us, and you would like to sponsor a scholarship, that is always open. And if you choose to, we will add you to the slide. So if you are a commercial partner and you'd like to offer a scholarship through us, we would be happy to give that away for you. The scholarship information can be found at onscenefirst.com/scholarship. The applications will be accepted today until April 26th. And then on May 10th, we will be giving out the 5 scholarships. Like I said, as you are, that was what I was going to say. If you do put in for the scholarship and you list your director, your manager, whoever, as the decision-making authority, and you put their name and their email, please let them know that you've done that. There have been several that have reached out to, hi, this is Tracy from Rapid SOS. That was a Freudian slip. This is Tracy from On Scene First. And I'm reaching out on behalf of so-and-so. They'd like to take the ENP exam. And, oh, well, they didn't say anything to me about it. And it just becomes a whole thing. So 2 things. Make sure your agency doesn't have the funds for you to take that exam. and make sure you let the person know that I'm going to be reaching out to just verify that information. And the third thing there, I know this, it doesn't, I don't want to sound like I'm being petty, but when I reached out to somebody to confirm that the agency wasn't going to pay for it, they had the money, but they preferred to put the money towards something else for training. And that's not what I'm looking to do either. This scholarship is specifically for the person that has absolutely no choice but to pay the money out of their pocket. So just keep that in mind once you apply. I'm not going to get into these things here, but on that page, there is going to be an acknowledgement, and then there's an eligibility checklist. Please make sure that you go over those things when you get to that page if you're going to put in for it. We have other folks that are offering scholarships as well. I just noticed, see, that's my distraction at the bottom. Didn't finish Alabama Nina's website there, because that's how ADHD works. There must have been a big fat squirrel that ran right in front of me when I was doing that. But Texas Nina, they have scholarships that are available. Tina, Tennessee Nina, they have scholarships that are available. I know that 911 Wonder Woman has scholarships that are available that you could use towards the ENP exam. And then Alabama Nina has a bunch also, which you would go to the Alabama Nina website, which when you get the PDF, it will be fixed and updated. As far as the exam schedule goes, February 3rd to 17th has already come and gone. The next is April 6th to the 20th. And like I said, some folks that have registered for this one will actually be taking the April exam. But this full study group is specifically for the summer 2024, which the dates are July 6th to the 20th, with an application deadline of May 24th. So put that on your calendar. I will notify you guys. I will send out a reminder. And that's actually why our submission for the scholarship ends on April 26th, because it gives us some time to go through and make contact and then get the code in your hand before May 24th to register. And then the fall 2024 dates are October 5th to the 19th, with a deadline of September 6th. There you go. As far as the criteria goes, at minimum, you need to be in the 911 profession for at least 3 years. That means you're either in the 911 center for 3 years, or you're working for a commercial partner that services or provides services to the 911 industry for 3 years. That is the foundation. Now we build onto that foundation. There's a point accumulation. Experience. So if you've been in the profession for 10 years, take those 3 years off, the 3 for the previous page, and that leaves 7 years. In theory, you have already covered your points accumulation because you need a total of 10 points. Okay. And so years of service, you could just, that's 14 points, but you only need 10, and it's only going to give you 10. So you're good there. If you've only been in the profession for 40 years, then you're only going to use two points. And then maybe you need your bachelor's degree or some other types of certifications and holding office and et cetera, et cetera. Okay. So any questions about, and what I will do is I'm going to refer you on one of the slides. You'll get the email address, which is also on the, that ENP page that I sent. If you have any questions about this stuff, like, will this count? Will that count? You need to direct those to Nina. I can't say that. I'm just running a study group, right? So some folks said, well, I was in the profession. I left the profession. I came back. That's not a decision that I can make. So any questions about points and stuff like that, you need to check with the fine folks at Nina. Do not register for the exam until you can commit to the testing period. So what you don't want to do is register now or early for the October exam. There are times where they will consider moving your testing time frame, but there has to be exigent circumstances. And I've seen them do that for a few folks. So, and they had valid reasons. There's also a place here where you can connect with other ENPs. There's a current list of all the ENPs that are there. So if you should ever go, oh, hey, oh, when I actually did this last week, I was like, whoa, wait a minute. When is my recertification due? I still have another year. But under the current list of ENPs, it will tell you when your certification is up. You can look and see how many folks in your state are ENPs, and then they will always put the new ENPs up, and the next list, hopefully, well, I know that I might have forgot to update that picture, but since the first exam was issued in 1997, the year after I became a baby dispatcher, to put a lot into perspective, there's been 1,776 ENPs. So hopefully you guys are going to be added to that list. The recertification, you want to keep an eye on your recertification. You want to know when you need to recertify. This will tell you how you can accumulate the points for recertification. But just make sure you stay on top of that, because I know the last thing you want to be doing is retesting to get your ENP back. I have enough points to recertify. I could recertify tomorrow if I wanted to. However, I might actually retake the exam. Why? Because I should probably see if I can pass the exam that I've been teaching people to pass. I just feel like I need to see if I can pass the test. I know, crazy. So there's two ways that you can recertify. You can either use the points or you can retake the test. And if you retake the test, it's $300. So I don't know if I want to do that, but who knows? We'll see. Then there's a clickable link section. The ENP exam body of knowledge is going to be kind of an outline of a Bible of sorts. I'll get into that in just a few minutes. But each one of these links is a hyperlink that's going to bring you to the things that I'm going to share with you coming up. The NINA Institute board, this group of fine professionals, are the folks that are the ones that kind of oversee the ENP exam. They're the ones that look at the questions, get the questions, determine what questions stay, which ones don't, etc. So if you have any questions, want to speak to anyone in your region, you can take care of it. I might need to update that one as well. Looks like I might need to update that one as well. But that's who the NINA Institute board is. Basically, they maintain all things ENP exam. So if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can reach out to them as well. I like to share, this is also on that page, but if you wanted to just kind of Google search it, this podcast is put on by Mark Fletcher, who plays a huge role in NINA and very much pushes folks to get out of their comfort zone and take the ENP exam. But he started a podcast off the cuff, Confessions of an ENP. I just happened to be the first one he interviewed, so that's why my face is up there as the first one. But there's some great interviews on there, and folks talk about their testing and what they did, how they studied, what they would pass on. So I share it because I think it's a good idea. If you're getting ready to take the exam, you check out that podcast. This is the email that I was referring to, enpcert@nina.org. If you should have any NINA logistic related questions, there's a truck outside, so my dog's going to start barking. If you have any logistic NINA type questions, I recommend you send them on over to NINA, because basically what I'll do is I'll just loop those folks in and send it on over. So might as well take out the middleman. As far as the ENP application handbook goes, I recommend you print it out, sit down, take a look at it, see what it is that you need, check off all the boxes. And then you're going to need to fill it out and send it on over to the folks at NINA. So definitely go through the handbook. Make sure you have everything that you need before that deadline date of May 24th comes around. What does the application book cover? It talks a little bit about NINA. It talks about the NINA Institute, the Professional Testing Corporation, the company they use, the purpose of the certification, the goals of the certification, when you can use the certification, denial and revocation of the certification, recertification, the content of the certification exam, the format, how it is set up. It's all multiple choice. The determination of the passing score. And we're going to go through some of these, but I'm not going to read through all of these, but I do want to specifically speak to the one at the top of the second column there, special needs, with the stars. This is something that gets overlooked. And as a person that was late diagnosed with ADHD, they do accommodate if you have an official diagnosis of any type of disability or learning disability or cognitive disability. They can make some arrangements for you to take your exam. One example, if I need more time, with an official diagnosis, I could have submitted that diagnosis and got additional time. I can tell you I did not ask for the additional time. I did take the test within the allotted. I think you get 3 hours to take the exam. And it was okay for me. But if that's something that you need, do not utilize that accommodation for you. So as you can see there, a ton of information in that application handbook. So make sure you check that out. There are 2 ways to take the exam. You can take it in person at a site, and there is a proctor there. And the website there, if you should want to see what some of the questions are, you can get those there. And then there's a remote testing option. I took the remote testing option, one, because we were smack dab in the middle of COVID, so I didn't have any choice. And number 2, I was in a cast. I had been laid up for a little bit, and I was in a cast. What I will share with you as far as the testing period, if you should choose to take it remotely, you are going to need to be able to show them your entire environment with your camera. So if you're on a laptop, you're going to have to kind of show them where you are. They actually had me even show them my cast to make sure that there wasn't stuff stuffed inside my cast. Can people cheat? Yeah, absolutely. But it's not worth it. Next to my desk here, I have a bunch of stickers and pins and little note cards. My daughter wrote me a note that said, "You're pretty," and just different things. And they made me cover those. So just make sure that you are keeping that stuff in mind. They do not want anything. If there's a pile of papers, they need to be gone. So nothing can be around you when you take that exam. A passing score is a 105 out of 150. Bottom line, you have to study. You have to study. You have to put the time in. If you half-ass your studying, you may not pass this exam. And if you've been doing this job for a long time and you say, "Oh, I'm gonna focus on the technology piece because I'm weak there," I'm going to tell you, you need to be focusing on the operations stuff as well, because there's a lot of stuff on the operations side that I never heard of, that many people never heard of. And folks that have been doing this for a long time are like, that's a hard test. So put the work in, put the time in, and utilize the resources that are there for you. There are several study groups. Mine is not the only study group. If you go to the nina.org/page ENP underscore study groups. Guess I got to change that letter. They're all listed there. I know that the mission critical study group is currently in progress right now. But if you email Louisa, she can add you just like you could with mine. Same thing with the Texas study group. Go ahead and visit Team 911 on their behalf. I think you can ask access for any of their study groups. They do theirs a little bit different. It's a conference call and they send out the materials so you kind of have them in front of you, and it's kind of like you listen. It's not set up like this. My study group and then the Colorado Resource Center has archived videos. They are on the older side. I want to say they may even be 10 years old at this point, but they are still very relevant. Some of them, there may be a bunch of missing information because stuff has been added since they did theirs to the exam. But for the most part, like the technology stuff, that doesn't really change. So by all means, you can request access through the archive sessions there. So make use of all of those. As far as the ENP study guide goes, I recommend having the study guide. While I will tell you, let me just show you in perspective. This is what my study guide looks like right now. If anybody wants to donate one, I bring this everywhere. I've looked through this. I could probably recite this study guide at this point. Because whenever I do a session, I make sure that I go back, go through each section, make sure that I'm covering everything in there, and making sure that I'm providing the resource links that are in there. I met two adorable folks this last week in Tennessee that recently took the exam, and we were talking about how important it was to check out the resource links that the ENP study guide is sharing, because I'm going to tell you, the body of knowledge, the study guide, there's going to still be stuff on that exam that wasn't provided in any of these places. And unfortunately, I don't know where to get that information from, but I have a feeling, I've always had an understanding that they pull stuff from these resource guides, so it makes sense to go through them and at least kind of focus on things that that you may not have seen before. So the book itself is $50. The online practice exam is $75, but if you buy them together, it's $100. And then I had on there, consider donating. If you take the exam and you no longer want the book and you want to send it over to me, a lot of times I have folks that have a hardship and they have to pay for the book themselves. If you want to donate it to somebody, I always have somebody that I can donate a book to if you should want. Maybe I need a book donated. I don't know. Mine's in 47 pieces. So, as you get ready to study, I just want to clarify something. This is my understanding. If you notice anything that you see with NINA, you see the word PSAP. PSAP is still the term that is used in the NINA documents. You will hear me say PSAP. And then ECC is a term that is being utilized, or APCO has kind of like steered towards using the term ECC. But one of my first sessions, I had somebody in the comments, I kept saying PSAP, and they came right across there and said it's not PSAP anymore. But it is. It's a public safety answering point. And it's a preference as to what folks communicate it as. So just know that I will be using the term PSAP for the most part. There are times I will use ECC, but for the most part, PSAP. The body of knowledge is an outline. To very quickly find the body of knowledge, you can type in a Google search, NINA body of knowledge, or pull it off of the page, the ENP page that I gave you at the beginning. I will tell you that the body of knowledge has not been updated in a little bit. There are things that are in the manual that are on the exam that are not on the body of knowledge. So don't use the body of knowledge as an end all be all to these are the things that I need to know. It is a combination. Everything that I'm going to teach you is going to come from the body of knowledge and from the manual. and some resources from the resources that they send or that they identified in the book. But I can't give you everything because there's stuff that's still coming back where folks are like, oh, hey, we had, I'll use the word halo effect. I had never seen the word halo effect in my life. And that's on the exam. I don't know where that comes from. I don't recall seeing it in any of the documents, but it's on there and it seems to be on there every time. So based on the information that folks bring back to me, I'll go find the information. I'll explain what it is, but is that how it's presented on the test? I don't know, but I'll do my best to get it to you. This is really important when you look at the way that the test is broken down. As far as the body of knowledge goes, the operations is 50% of the exam and management is 50% of the exam. And then each section is broken down into their subcategories. Telecommunication operations is 35%, information systems, 10%, legislation on the operations side, which is funding, enabling, and regulatory stuff, is 5%. And then under the management, management of the organization is 20%. Management of the employees is 25%. And then the other legislation under management, which is employee laws and regulation, is 5%. So what does that look like? When you take the exam, I bet you anything, you're going to come out and you're going to go, oh, that exam was super heavy on technology, or that was super heavy on operations. These numbers in front of you and these numbers, oh, hold on. These numbers, these are the number of questions in each section. That doesn't change. Which questions are they? That changes. So there's more than one exam, but there's no exam that is more technical, or there's no exam that's more operational. When you look at the percentages, and now this is one of my friends that just recently passed, got a 122 out of 150, rock star, right? Passing score is 105. But this is the way the breakdown is. There are 53 telecom operations questions. There are 15 information systems. There are 7 operation legislation, 30 management of the organization, 30 questions on RFPs and emergency management. And like, that's a lot of questions in that area. There's 38 questions on the management of employees. And then 7 questions on management legislation. So in the legislation piece, that's 14 questions, right? So that's 14 questions. Do I want to spend a lot of time there? Maybe I want to make sure I get at least a few of them right. But if that's not a big deal to you, I would focus in the other area where you see large categories of questions. So I got this from a friend of mine recently because I'm like, I want to be able to show folks the magnitude, because we will get folks. And I thought it was this way when I first started teaching the session, and I was corrected, and I will be happy to share. It's even. It's 50-50. There's no side that's more technical. There's no test that's more management. So just know that. Yes, the version is, so somebody asked about the version. The current version is 6.1. What I did want to mention about that too is Nina has a Google Drive doc from me. There are errors in that manual. And if you should ever come across an error, shoot me an email and I will add it to that document. When they do the next update, there's some recommendations that I made. It's not the greatest study manual, and I've voiced that concern, but it's what we have at this time. So if you find any mistakes, just let me know. I'm not going to get into these in the interest of time, but this is what your body of knowledge looks like. So it's broken down and it has topics, etc. As a lot of topics. Like I said, I don't need to read all of this stuff. You're gonna have it, but every one of those topics is on there. And now for the class logistics. This is what we got to know. The classes, The sessions are held on Fridays from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern time. Some days we go to 4:30. Sometimes it might be 4:35 if I hadn't finished it up, but you can get off anytime you want. Everything is recorded. It is a self-paced class. I do not need to know if you are not coming to class that day. The reason why I have it set up the way that I do is because I want you to get the information and do it when you can. Good Lord, the first couple sessions I did, people were like, well, I'm not going to be on this week. Okay, great. I don't keep track of who comes on, who doesn't come on. But just know that every piece of material will be provided to you. I'll get to that in just a second. When you log on, you will be in the waiting room until I go live. I usually go live right before 3:00. And unfortunately, as I mentioned, you can't speak. We have to use that chat feature. After the session, you will receive a follow-up email with a link to the session's recordings and a folder where the PDF is located, the MP3s are located, any practice exams that I provide are located, and any additional documents. I have a few documents that I've created that I put in there as well. If there's anything that you create in your studying that you want to donate and you want to make available to folks, by all means, shoot it over and I will make it available. Your name will be on it and we'll give you a big fat thank you. I say the end of the day Monday-ish because usually on Fridays, it will be at the end of the week when I have traveled all week and I am just spent. So I don't get off of this and just jump on the computer and pull the recording and edit it and put all the stuff in there. I try to do it over the weekend. If you don't get notified by the end of the day Monday, it means that something went sideways and you will definitely have it by Tuesday. It's always my intention. The recordings will be available on the On Scene First with Tracy Eldridge YouTube channel. Sorry, I need to fix that as well. It's going to be the 2024 summer and fall study group playlist. Yes, to the question about being on the email distribution list, I'm going to get to where you're going to get notified regarding that. But onscenefirst.com if you want to get on the email distribution list, but the ENP study group is going to come from a different place. Some folks have asked for the slides before the session. I can't do that. As much as I want to do that, I just can't, because if you notice, I had a few bloopers that were in here that I want to correct before I actually send it out. And that happens sometimes. And if I worded something wrong, I don't want to send them out, then have to pull them back and then send out another one. And that becomes too much. And in true ADHD fashion, I am always updating them, but I'm usually not updating them until Friday morning. It's just when I do it. And so I wouldn't have time to send them out anyway. The YouTube channel, I would recommend that you follow the YouTube channel or subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just so you know, that's the first thing that usually gets added. So what's going to happen is I'll upload it to the YouTube channel. You'll get notified that it's been uploaded. You can watch it if you want. But what happens is sometimes folks will email me and say, I didn't get all the other stuff. I got the video, but I didn't get the other stuff. They may have gotten notified because the video got uploaded, but it's going to take a few more steps before I can get that email fully out. Sometimes it takes 2 hours for the video to upload to YouTube. And I'm not going to send out the email until it's fully uploaded. And if I went to bed when it's uploaded, you'll get the email in the morning. So there's that. The playlist cover is going to look just like this. It's going to have the 2024 summer fall ENP group stuff on it. And all those videos will be in one place. The Google stuff. You should have, if you are hearing my voice right now, right in this moment, you should have been added to the ENP on Scene First Google group, where you can access all of the emails that I will be sending out to this study group. If you have not received access to the Google group or you cannot access it, I need you to email info@onscenefirst.com or just scan the little QR code at the end and just let us know that you did not receive access to the Google group. Because when you registered, what you should have received was the you should have received access to the calendar as well as the Google group. But Google and government agencies don't always play nice in the sandbox, so they might get blocked. So with that, we may ask you for a regular email address for you to be able to get access. If you could just hold on 1 second, I just got to go take care of that doggy. I'll be right back. Sorry about that. It happens once in a while. So yeah, if you have not received access to the Google group, just email info@onscenefirst.com or scan the QR code at the end and let me know that you need to get access. And we might just need to figure out which email address you're going to use. This is what the Google Drive is going to look like. So the Google group is one thing, and then the Google Drive, this is the older one. But there'll be a folder for the MP3s, a folder for the PDFs. I usually put the body of knowledge there. I have a list of abbreviations that I made, and there is an old Nina glossary that has been replaced, and I'll show you that in just a second. But the one that you'll see listed in here is the old one, and sometimes that's helpful to be able to just kind of search for a word that you might be looking for. This is what replaced the old Nina glossary. And it's a website. So I would say save this, because this is a very quick place for you to find a quick definition. So if there's you're given the abbreviation ESRK, you can just type in ESRK and it's going to bring you to emergency service routing key, and then it's going to give you a quick definition of it. So two different places that you can do that. This is that Nina glossary that is the older version. So this used to be what is now the previous page. What I did notice is that that previous page does not have all of the definitions. There are definitions that are still in this Nina glossary that have not been migrated over to the website yet. So I would say use both of them. Someone has to the host, who is the sender of that email. It would be coming from me from On Scene First. And so let me just go back real quick. If you're looking in your search in your email, if you were to search this right here, On Scene First ENP Study Group 2024, it should come up. But you should have been notified that you have been added to a Google group, or you could search in that search field Google group. But I find that this happens often, and unfortunately, it's the easiest way for me to do this. So in that file is also where you're going to find this abbreviation list that I've pulled from a lot of places. Somebody said to me the other day when they sent me their results that they passed, you were not kidding when you said you needed to know your abbreviations. I'm not going to tell you that you need to know every abbreviation that's on this document right here, but if I give you an abbreviation in any of my PDFs, you should probably know that abbreviation or acronym. Sorry. Okay. A practice exam. Usually I am waiting to the last minute to send out the practice exam because I want to update it and then people found errors and I wanted to change some things around. I'm going to be able to send it out much earlier in this one. I do need to make a couple of corrections, but I will make that available to you in the foreseeable future, probably in the next couple of weeks. So you'll have that. But I will start off by saying, if you take this exam and you print it out, you're going to go through like an entire ream of paper because I have two. Tanya, if you could change who you posted that to, because that's just coming to me, but I think that would be beneficial for the others. Tanya just sent me the message what it's titled in the email that she received. So if you could send that to the whole group, that would be great. But as far as the practice exam goes, there's 2 practice exams and they're over 250 questions each. So don't just hit print, and don't freak out when you see it. There's going to be a lot of information in there that maybe you've never seen before. However, I got you. Okay. You're going to see a lot of that information. I also recommend using Quizlet.com/subject/ENP. More and more people are creating Quizlet. When I took my exam, there was only like 4 sets of ENP flashcards. And now there's so many of them. Just be careful in the information that you're looking, verify that the information is correct. But the good part about this is you can put the Quizlet app on your phone and you can go through. You're sitting in the doctor's office, you're in the line at the registry, you're waiting for a bus, whatever. You can jump on and go through a section and it will give you the terms in like 3 or 4 different ways. It'll do a flashcard, it'll have you fill in the blank. It's a really impressive tool and there's lots of card sets in there. So check that out. And then in other on-scene first news, to the person that asked about being on just the generalized on-scene first distribution list, you can scan that QR code or, do it later, or just go to the onscenefirst.com website and subscribe. Why can't I say that word? You know what I'm saying? This is where subscribe. Just put your name and email address in there to be notified of all the cool stuff that we're doing. This I do want to share. Why is that not white? I don't know. I'll fix that. But coming up in April, National Telecommunicator Week. I got to change the dates and time on that as well. So don't look at that one. That one's from before. We're going to give away a bunch of prizes. So check out that information. If you go to that website right there, you can register. If you're in the 911 space, go register so we can give you some prizes. I had to jump over that slide because I updated it, but it just showed the wrong one. Check out the On Scene First podcast. We have an On Scene First store. So these are all located on the website. And right now, my partner, Squad Life, and I are offering a 25% off on the entire website for all of the stuff that is not a fundraiser or a partner page. So use the code NPSTW and you can get 25% off of that. And with that, I will say thank you. Does anyone have any questions? If you don't have any questions, here's all my contact information. Quick contact form. If you want to use that QR code, you can reach out to us very quickly. But if we don't have any questions, I will let you be on your way. Until next time, heroes, stay safe, stay strong, stay here. We need you.